All right, everyone, it is time for this week's Better Branding Tip. And this week we're going to talk about 3 things that all great leaders have in common. Check it out. So there is a big difference between leadership and management. Just to name a few things. Management would say instruct people to do things, solve problems themselves. They would request things, and then they would maintain a certain status. Whereas good leadership, in contradiction to that, would influence people rather than simply instruct. They would partner with people to solve problems instead of doing it themselves. They would empower people when they are going about their day to day, and they would also improve the status quo rather than simply maintaining that status quo. So those are just a few comparisons back and forth, and you get the picture. But what we're talking about today is great leadership and 3 qualities that great leaders all have in common. The first thing that every great leader does and has in common is that they communicate clearly. Now, notice it's not communicate perfectly, because that's one thing a leader will be able to do when they communicate is own up to their mistakes. Sometimes they make a mistake. Sometimes they don't have the best idea, but they're willing to grow from that, own up to it, and become better. They also handle these conversations that we would all look at as, man, that's a difficult or a hard conversation to have, and they handle it well. And so I challenge you, how do you handle communicating through difficult conversations? We all have to have them. We're not going to get away from them. They're always going to be here. And so rather than run from them or avoid them or just mismanage them, think about how you can actually take a step back and communicate clearly and well through difficult and tough conversations, and you'll become a better leader. The second thing that every great leader does is they run great meetings. Yeah, they actually have employees who crave their meetings, and they found a way to infuse creativity, spontaneity, humor, maybe it's just lighthearted. Even though they might be tackling tough subjects, they find a way for people to want to be in their meetings. And maybe that's because these people feel like they have buy-in. When they're running these meetings, every great leader knows that they're not invincible, and neither are their ideas. And so it's important to embrace everyone at the table and their skill set. And when you lean into each one's skill set and you know that everybody at your table has a purpose being there, and you trust that they are knowledgeable in their skill set, it's going to create this dynamic where everyone is able to bring their best from their perspective to that meeting room. The third and final thing that every great leader does is they build strong teams. And they do that a handful of ways. One thing is they're always dedicated to the mission first, whatever the mission is, rather than it always being about them, for instance, or always being about a favorite employee or whatever that may be. They're dedicated to the mission of the company or the mission at hand that they want to achieve. And that is what keeps people connected. Rather than starting to get preferential and all those things, they stay committed to the mission. And really, they're some of the best servants. Great leaders, when they're building teams, they understand that serving people is valuable and that people want to feel important. And so it's not always about them. In fact, it should not be always about them, right? But when they can serve the team around them well and really replicate themselves, that is going to put them in a category that I would call a great leader. Great leaders find a way to replicate themselves. They understand that that's not a threat. When an employee is basically capable of doing your job as well as you, that is a compliment to your leadership style and to your ability to pull others up rather than just dominate and dictate orders. When we talk about these 3 qualities today, use that as a way to analyze your own life, analyze your own leadership style, if that be the case. And you go, man, what can I get better at? If you have a leader that you are inspired by, put their name in the comment below. Thanks for watching this video this week, everyone. We will see you soon.